So for those of you that follow us, know that we have some solar capabilities, not a lot, but some. Right now we have 10,000 kilowatt hours of storage, which isn't quite enough for what we're using it for. When we run our walk-in cooler along with all of our freezers and our greenhouse fans and the exhaust fans in this building and in our chicken coop, in the middle of the night it switches over to grid power. So we want to get away with using grid power, so I bought 2 more batteries, 2 more Alpha Pro, which is the exact same battery as what we have on our system now, on a 6000 XP EG4, and then we have a rich solar breaker, and then just our panel box that we use. So what I'm going to try to do today, I'm going to figure out how to, well, I know how to hook them up, but I ain't 100% sure how to make these two communicate with everything. So we're going to figure this all out together, and I'm going to show you how I have everything hooked up. So yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. We got battery number 1 here. This is number 1, which you got to put number 1 to number 1, number 2 to number 2. So I'm assuming that this would be number 3, and then that would be number 4. I'm not 100% sure it works that way, because when I looked it up, when I originally put that in, it said when you go to more than 2 batteries, it doesn't work that way. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to look it up and see how it says to do it. The book came with the batteries. Everything you need to hook the batteries up came with the batteries. The communication cables, the battery cables, everything came with grounding cables and everything came with the batteries. Rich Solar does a really good job using that stuff. I bought the system. I bought the entire system, panels and all, and these 2 extra batteries I actually got from shopsolar.com. And they're great people to work with, actually. So if I can't figure it out, I can call them and they'll tell me how to switch it on. But anyways, first things first, I need to turn these batteries off and disconnect everything, and then we'll be running off the grid. We'll be running off the grid for the next little while till I get these all hooked back up and turned back on. So it shouldn't be that big a deal to do this. So it should only take, at this point I got everything ready. I got all my boards cut to make my rack, rearrange my rack and all that stuff. So it shouldn't take me more than a half hour to an hour at the most to get all this hooked up. But things usually get kinks in your projects when you think you can do something pretty quick. Even something as simple as hooking up batteries to your solar. So anyways, bear with me. Sorry for rambling. I'm going to get to it. First things first. First thing I'm going to do is turn this breaker here to the off position, which is the battery breaker. I think that's the battery cables that come off of the number 1 battery. And we'll turn it off, and it should automatically switch everything to grid. You may see a little bit of a blink in the lights, but it shouldn't affect anything. So, and the inverter quieted down, which means it's turning the solar off. Still shows pulling solar, which is good. So if it's pulling solar, that's fine. I would have thought it would have went to grid power, because I got it set up right now where if the batteries are below 17% charge, it will automatically kick the grid. I do have a generator plug and a generator too, and that's hooked up. I just don't have that breaker turned on. But yeah, I don't use it very often. So as long as we got power on the grid, I won't worry too much about the generator. So now I'm going to tear it apart and start trying to figure it out. Now that we have the batteries breaker turned off, I'm going to turn the breakers off on each battery, make sure there's no power coming out of this thing. And right now the batteries are at 45%. So turn this breaker off, turn this breaker off. Now I'm going to turn the power off, turn this power off. Now there's no juice going in or coming out of these. So now I can unhook the cables and get everything restrung and drop these down. So I'm going to put my number 1 on the bottom, and my number 2, then number 3, number 4 on top. That's how I'm going to do it this time, instead of number 1 on top. The main reason is because if I ever extend it more, then I won't have to change all this around. I'll have my number 1 down here. And it doesn't need to be this, it doesn't need to be number 1. Any battery can be number 1. Depends on how you have these switches flipped. These switches determine what's number one, and so on and so forth. Same with the communication. This communication goes to here, so my next one will go to here, down to that one, and so on down the line. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And these battery terminals are really nice. They just got a button on the side of them. Push that button, and unhook it. Now I need to go through and unhook all this stuff. And I'm gonna, this is just a homemade rack. You could buy racks for them, but I didn't see no need to. I like working with wood, and I got plenty of scrap wood laying around, so I'm gonna change all these. Actually, I'm gonna take these 2x4s off that I have right here. These, and I'm gonna put just 1.5 inch wide sheets of fairly thick plywood. This is what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna turn them up this way. So do that so it takes up less room, and I should be able to get my cables and stuff between there a little bit easier. But anyways, I got to unhook all this stuff, and we'll go from there. Actually, I should go. Oh. A little bit heavy. Now I need to pull this one out. Hopefully do a little bit easier than I did that last one. I think I'll take the screw out of that leg. Much more better. Get that out of the road. So I'm going to take these off. I'm going to put the first one on the bottom. I want to make sure my communication cable is long enough to reach to the bottom battery. Hopefully it is. That way, like I said earlier, if I want to go any higher, I can easily go. If I want to add any more, I can go higher instead of having to tear it all back apart. And I want to let a board down on the bottom. I want to give it a little bit of space under there. That way there's airflow. These batteries actually make a fair bit of heat. I don't know that I would need to, but I'm gonna. I just need to make sure my communication cable from the inverter to the battery is long enough. It's not gonna be. So yeah, that won't work the way I'd hoped it would. This cable, if you go down in the front, probably still wouldn't be quite long enough. Be close. We'll see. It doesn't matter. I can put them in however I want to. I can just flip the switches and make one wherever it ends up being. And the same with the grounding cable. It's not going to be. Of course, I may have cut those off too. How long are the new ones? Battery cables are plenty long. For the next one, for that to plug in, that's definitely plenty long enough for that. The ground is not long enough. I think it actually will work. The ground should work. Communication cable. It's not quite gonna, it'll work, but it won't quite work the way I'd hoped it would. Maybe I can go around the outside. If I keep it around the outside and route it some way different, it'll work. It's long enough. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. But anyways, it's going to work the way I'd hoped. Yeah, it should be fine. Cool. So now I just need to put everything together. And this shouldn't take that long. So as you can see, I got all the batteries up on the rack. I got a couple of them hooked up. Not all of them. I guess I got them all hooked up with the last one. So I'm just going to screw it in. Screw it in here, then put my piece down here. Finish wiring things up. And on this bottom one, I did raise it up some, so I didn't have to reroute my communication cable or my ground cable. So I've got those, and they're still loose. They're not pulled too tight. If I was down where I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to run it, and I'd have to go get a new Ethernet cable, which I could have done, but I didn't want to. These things do hook up really simply. Just click right in place. Like I said earlier, all these cables comes with batteries. Everything you need for the batteries comes with the batteries. When you put these together, you want to make sure you have good tools. Make sure everything's good and tight. You definitely don't want nothing loose. But if you got anything loose, that's a good way to start a fire. Gotta have it hooked up correctly and everything torqued. So one thing that I need to remember is that this still has power on it. I'm running off the grid right now, so these wires right here, this black and this red is hot. And the ones coming out of the load, which are these black and red, are hot. Where I'm hooking these up isn't, but I just need to make sure that I don't. And truthfully, I should just shut it down. No longer it's going to take me to do this. The PV's got power on it too, but I'm going to turn it off. I got a breaker for it. I just shut it off. That's direct. That's DC power. You don't want to get hit with any of that, but definitely not the DC power. Need to move you out of my road. All right, I got it hooked up. So it only took a couple seconds, but I just wanted you to get out of my way so I could just get up in there and do it. But it's these two here, and I got them running into the same leg. I need to get me another ground rod or ground bar because this in here is not long enough for everything I got hooked to it, which is the everything coming into it. And I got another ground bar right here. I'm hooking my system up, and this oops, sorry, I got another ground bar right here, and this one here is actually going to the ground outside. I got a rod in the ground, and then I got this black one goes to this ground bar. Everything's hooked to the ground, actual literal ground. What I need to do is get me another ground bar so I can separate some of that out, and I should just put another bar here, hooking it to the ground. Yeah, but anyways, so I'm gonna turn the PV back on, which is the solar. I don't need to worry about it anymore. I turned it back on. That there is nice to have that. But anyways, now I need to put the cover back on this. Just got a couple screws in. I won't be able to put all the screws back in it because my screwdriver is too long. But I'll be able to get most of them in. Then we'll turn it on and see what we got. When you put screws in like these, you don't want to tighten everything up when you first start it. You just want to get them started, then go to the next screw, then drop that little dinky screw on the floor. When you're 55 years old, it's hard to see them small screws anyways. My eyeballs ain't as young as they once was. Now that you got all the screws started that you're going to put in, I can't put them two in. Now you can tighten them up. If you do that beforehand, if you tighten them up as you go, you'll never get them all in. You'll tighten this up where it belongs, and you'll have to adjust it, and you won't be able to. And these screws don't need to be real tight. They just need to be snug. And at this point, I still have the breaker off going to the batteries from this. So no matter what I do here, it will not put any power into the panel. Sorry, you couldn't even see what I was doing. No matter what I do here, you won't be able to put anything on the panel. The first thing I'm going to do on these, I'm just going to turn the power on all of them. Not turn the breaker on yet. I'm going to let that go in a minute. Then I'll need to turn the breaker on. So now all the batteries are on. And what it's doing right now, see these here two. These two here are blinking and these aren't. And I think they're discharging, equalizing them all out, because I don't think the new batteries are at 50% power and the old batteries are 45. So now that everything's hooked up, it needs to communicate properly and get everything hooked back together correctly. So now what I'm going to do is turn this breaker here on. When I do, this here will probably make the fan will kick on and it'll make some racket. There's the fan. So now I need to make sure it's communicating properly, and it'll take a little while for it to kick off the grid power and back onto solar power. I don't know exactly when that'll do. I did a test earlier before I started the video, before I started this project, and I actually had to turn the grid breaker off before it would kick back to solar. And I'm going to get on my phone and see the app on my phone and see what it shows. And that right there is the cutest baby in the world, just so y'all know. My grandbaby. Right now it's pulling off solar. It's charging the batteries. It's showing the batteries are at 47%. I'm pulling 2,467 watts. And I'm drawing 690. So it transferred over without no issue whatsoever. So now it's charging the batteries. So now we'll see tonight if the batteries all work out. But everything went together easy peasy. When they're fully charged, we should never have an issue with needing to go to the grid power. We should be able to if the batteries are fully charged, we should at this point be able to go 2 days without any sun with the walk-in cooler running. This thing here is a power hog. It is definitely a hungry power eating machine. We should be able to go 2 days with this on and not have to worry about pulling off the grid. So the only thing I got to do left is to cut me a board to run down this side and screw it in. But anyways, I hope y'all learned something. I enjoyed that little project. And yes, as you can see, it is extremely hot in this building. Yeah, it's hot in here. But it's nice outside though too. So anyhow, I'm going to wrap this up. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. I enjoyed this project. And that, anybody that's thinking about going solar, it's addictive. So the more you do, the more you want to do. So in a few weeks or so, we'll see how this works out. And if it does good for us, then we're going to hook it to our hot water heater and our well pump. So if the power goes out, we don't got to worry about starting the generator up. Peace of mind. Now you didn't got to worry about the freezers or walk-in cooler or the greenhouse or anything else. So anyhow, going to wrap it up. Anybody got any questions, please let me know. Till we meet again. Take care and God bless.